Chuck McHugh currently works as a fire spatial analyst in the Fire, Fuel, and Smoke Science program at the Rocky Mountain Research Station Fire Sciences Lab in Missoula, Montana. Chuck is the FlamMap program manager and oversees development and support for the application. During fire season, he operates as a long-term fire analyst in support of wildland fire management at the national, regional, and local levels. Chuck received his master's degree in forestry from the Northern Arizona University in 2001. Let's go ahead and get the presenter. We'll transition to Chuck.
Thanks, Diane. I gotta do one thing here first. And then can you see is my screen showing up?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. So we're just gonna have about 20 minutes here for a quick overview of FlamMap. And while I'm the program manager now, none of this work would be possible without what Mark did in the beginning, and then Stu Britton, who provides programming for us, and Rob Seeley, who helps with the help file development. This is a shorter, little quick introductory presentation today, but if you go to the Northern Rockies Fire Science Network, last month I did a full hour-and-a-half presentation on FlamMap6, and if you go to the Northern Rockies Fire Exchange Science Network under their events, there should be a thing you'll see say webinar and archive, and there should be a link to watch the webinar right here. This is the URL for it right up here right now. And so that's a full hour-and-a-half where I went into FlamMap in more detail than we will today. What I want to talk about is a little bit of Farsight FlamMap history, where you can get it, what's new. I'm going to focus on a few things that seem to be the most interested people. I want to talk about the help file tutorials. We have a landscape editor within FlamMap now. We've also incorporated Farsight into FlamMap, so we've retired Farsight as a standalone program as it exists now in FlamMap, and talk a little bit about WFDIS and IFTDIS input files. So with this version of FlamMap, you can import landscapes from WFDIS or IFTDIS, barriers and ignition files from WFDIS. You can use the inputs files that come out with a completed IFTDIS or WFDIS run and import that right into FlamMap, and it'll populate a run for you within there. And for WFDIS, that's everything that's short-term, near-term, and basic. You can do that for an IFTDIS, their basic run, and eventually their burn probability modeling part will be available too. Just a quick history, Farsight and FlamMap, if you look at here, have been around for a long time. I mean, Farsight started in the early 90s. It was released as version 4 in 2002, 4.1 in 2008. It was taught in the classes that went into becoming an LTAN. Initially 493 itself, then we taught it in 495. In 2010, it was incorporated into WFDIS as near-term fire behavior, and in 2017, we got it into FlamMap6. FlamMap came out as a result of Farsight because Mark was looking for a faster way to look at fire spread and movement across the landscape, which led to the development of the minimum travel time algorithm. It's gone through several iterations, 2, 3, 4. Each one has added stuff. What's interesting is FlamMap 4 was never released, but in 2006 and 7, that's how we were developing FS Pro to be later incorporated into WFDIS. MTT was brought into WFDIS as a standalone module in 2010 as short-term fire behavior. And then in 2012, with FlamMap 5 release, we included Wind Ninja, spotting and everything, and all the fire spread algorithms for minimum travel time. We had a landscape burn probability mapping, which is similar to what some people may know as FSIM. FlamMap 6 in 2018 was released, and that included Farsight, some ability to do some reprojection on the fly within the application, an editor, run logs that are come out of FlamMap runs that can be used to import into new runs, and then the ability to import information right out of WFDIS and IFTDIS. And since 2009, it was taught in S495 from 2009 to 2013. That's just a basic overrun again of how it's been incorporated into WFDIS and IFTDIS. So I'll repeat a little bit. So where to get it, and we'll go there shortly. Here's the main link to the Fire Lab, and that will take you right to the Fire Lab and the FlamMap project itself, which is also linked within the Fire Behavior Field Reference Guide. This is the link to get to the software, and I'll show you those here quickly. And so where to get it, when you click on, this is the main project FlamMap page. It has a lot of descriptive information about the application itself. So can you see the web page now? Is that showing up?
Yep, you're good to go, Chuck.
Okay. So on the main FlamMap web page, if you come Fire Fuel Smoke Fire Lab page, if you come under apps and products, the fire behavior, and come down to FlamMap, that'll take you to the main FlamMap page, which has some information about the application in general and what it requires, how it's training, how to get technical support, some screen captures with some descriptive text about what's going on. We have some select publications and products and references if you scroll down further on that page to some papers and background material. If you do this new sign up and just sign up, and you sign up there and say you're interested in apps and products, you'll get on a mailing list that you'll be notified when we have formal releases and that kind of stuff, which is about once or twice a year. And that will get you also releases from most of the other developers who have software on this page, off the Fire Lab page, like Behave and Fire Family Plus. So it's just a way to give you notifications. We have a FAQ page. If you click on that, it will give you an FAQ. So there's some questions we try to answer with information on general questions we get. Some known bugs, what they were, how they were addressed. And if you click on here, it'll take you to the FlamMap software release. And there's some important information here. We have a change log that tells you what's going on. This is a live link to download a zip file that has the software installation, as described here, as the installation file, some installation notes, and a very descriptive release notes that gets talked about the release of a major release of the application. The important thing is it only runs in a 64-bit Windows operating system. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about what the LCP editor, global changes how it can be used, Farsight, and import run logs from WFDIS, and show you some of that stuff. And then we're just gonna switch over to the application itself and do go through it live. And one of the things is that, so now I'm in the FlamMap application itself, and what I want to talk about first is the help file. So we have several ways to access it. If you click on help, there'll be a thing about FlamMap, which is important to know, because if you have a bug or an issue, we're going to ask you what build of FlamMap and what date it was built. And this page here will tell you what that information is. You can access our help file direct here within the system, but it goes through the help, but it's a static help file, and that we only update it and roll it into the installation when we have a major release. So it'll be potentially somewhat behind from a live link that we have, but they're both structured the same. The only thing is that this might be a little bit behind on current information. There's talks about how to use FlamMap. What I really want to point out though is there's some tutorials here that work you through when you install the program. You get some sample data and you can work through a bunch of the how to set up runs, get runs, make runs for FlamMap and Farsight, and work through all these different tutorials using the data that comes with the program. So there's another way to get to the help file. If you go here, it'll take you to an online help file version, and this is a current, where the most current version of the help file will be. And as you can see, this one was from June and this one was from August of last year. So if you want to get the most up to date and you have web connectivity, you can come here. If you don't, then you can use the help file that's installed within the application itself. And I want to say on the help file too that I'm glad Tammy brought up the fire behavior field reference guide, because within that they have a section on fire assessment, and they have some information there that's pretty nice. This section on validation, calibration, and verification is good. This video is really good. They have like a little matrix on how to pick which fire behavior tool you want to use, depending on the type of question you're trying to ask. So that's another good resource, that fire behavior field reference guide for help. When I talked about the release notes that come with the zip file, they're very extensive. I try to, when we work through it, go into some pretty good level of detail on what's new and how to go about using it. You know, they'll talk, so here's a thing on Farsight that works through setting up a Farsight Run, talking about all the inputs and all that. So it's a good source of information as well. I want to talk first about the landscape editor. So I've loaded this landscape here in FlamMap, and you'll notice I have some vector themes associated up here. So we're going to show a fire, which is going to pop up here, and I'll zoom into that so you can see it. So here's, let's say this could be a fire perimeter, it could be a treatment boundary or something, and I want to change what's in here. Well, we've included a landscape editor that's pretty straightforward. It works a little differently than WFDS because you have to apply each of the rules independently. So you can have multiple rules in here, and it doesn't matter the order they're listed here. What matters is the order that you apply them by. So I've already created a rule here, so we'll just edit the rule so you can look at it. The editor, you can change any of these themes, the fuel themes, stand height, canopy cover, any of those. You can apply a constant, which in this case I'm going to do. You can use an expression, so you can take again any of those, and you can either add to them, subtract from them, multiply to them, divide them, and enter the value here. So you can get quite complex there. You can also use fuel models to filter. So in this case, I want to change fuel model 165, where it occurs, to fuel model 183. I'm also going to make it that I only want to change it within that red polygon perimeter. So here's everything that show up here has to show up in these vector themes to become available. In this case, we're going to use the 2017 clear fire. And once I get in, then I'm going to say I want it to be in an elevation that's less than 800 meters. So I can use that here and use elevation, aspect, or slope conditions to also further modify the rule set to where I want to apply it. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to, so here, trying to get this so you can see it when it happens. So here's the area that we're going to apply this edit within. And again, I want to change fuel model 165, which is this dark green in this within here, that where it's less than 800 meters to a different in elevation. So to a different fuel model. So I can test the rule, and first, before I even apply it, and it'll show me what is that I want. I can say yes. It'll tell me how many cells are going to be modified that met that condition that I had. I can say OK. If I say apply, it'll ask me, do I want to apply that again? If I say yes, it'll say, here's the thing. It'll tell you again how many cells will be modified, and would you like to save a new landscape? So unlike WFDS, that applies it within the system, and then you save a new, you then create a landscape. Within FlamMap, we only apply those changes temporarily on the landscape. If you want to use that landscape in any modeling scenario, you have to save it out as a new landscape, open up a new FlamMap project, and load that new landscape into it to use it, which is a point of confusion. Some people are thinking that if you just have it, apply the rule now, you can run the application and that change is taking place, but that's not the case now. I'm going to say no to changing the landscape, and what you want to watch is in this area here. So now I can see on the screen now that this is now fuel model 183. And before, it would have been fuel model 165, this dark green. And if I don't like that rule set and how it looked, I can reset it by reloading the landscape. And now that's gone. And you can see here's 165. I can come back to edit landscape, and I'm just going to apply that same rule. And now it's all 183. So the landscape editor can get quite intensive. You can do lots of things with it and use different maths and different combinations of rule sets to alter the landscape. We've never meant it to be a really intense editor. If you have a landscape that's so messed up that you have to do lots of edits, you're probably better off going into GIS and doing it that way. So now I want to talk about Farsight, and I have a Farsight run here that I've just set up. And I get to that from the run setting here by saying, do I want to do FlamMap basic MTT, or do I want a new Farsight run, or do I want to import? And if I import, that's where I select import logs and data from a WFDS or a NiftyDis run. In this case, we're just going to do a Farsight run. I said new Farsight run. So I've already got it set up, and I give it information just like you would normally do on fuel moistures. I've told it to use a wind direction from weather inputs, which are provided by this hourly weather stream file here. Or I can generate Wind Ninja using this weather stream to input it. And I have several options here. We try to give you a warning because Wind Ninja can be quite intensive, and we try to give you a default so you don't run out of memory when you're running it on your computer. You can go change this. Just realize the finer you set this resolution, the longer the simulation will take to run, and it could also run you out of memory. I have model settings here, like an ignition file, a barrier file. A lot of these settings are hidden from you in WFDS, but in FlamMap, they're totally available to you to mess around and change with. You tell it what the fuel moisture is, what the crown fire calculation method you want, what the burn periods will be, similar to tell it when you want it to burn. You have outputs that you can select to come along with it. Hit apply, and you go to launch Farsight. And I want to say that I've put together a couple quick guides that talk about the landscape editor and some issues with downloading landscape data from and projections on a land fire. And I put together a couple quick guides, and you'll be getting an email from Wes here with those 2 documents in it. So once it's applied and it's going, it gives you a progress. Right now, it's doing all the Wind Ninja runs for the hours for those days that I told it to do it. And it's got to populate, it's got to calculate all the Wind Ninja information, all the speed and vectors required to do the Farsight run, which right now in near term, you don't have the ability to incorporate Wind Ninja into a fire simulation. So that's one benefit that you can get from using Farsight in FlamMap as a standalone application. You can do a few more extra things with it than you can. All right, so now it's modeling and it's telling you the time, simulation time you're in, how many fires it's doing, how many spot fires it's modeling in the cumulative spot fires, where you are in the simulation. Well, I've tried to make this so it runs fast for the time frames that we're running in here. You can make these where they can take quite a long period of time to run on your laptop. The larger the area, the more spotting you have, the finer the resolution you set for the fire behavior modeling to run. I'll add computation time to run it on a computer like a laptop or a desktop. So I don't know for you all, but as the developer and programmer and stuff, this seemed like an eternity to me, hoping it would run and not hang up or crash. But that was 3 minutes to do this run. We zoom in here. Now it just looks like a gobbly mess, but what it's in here, here's spot fire locations that have happened as they occurred during this run. So all of those are spot locations that came out. You can export that out as a shape file that you could use in GIS. If you put the perimeters up, we have various ways to deal with the perimeters. If I come here to properties, I can do it as the final perimeter only. I can change it to burn periods. I can change the colors and all that. So you can see like out in here, here's spot fires and a perimeter that grew off of that, but then it was overcome by the main fire. Here's an area where you had spot fires that got out to one perimeter before the simulation ended. So there's that information. You can get information on the spot fire list, so it gives you a launch time, the locations, how far they went, where they landed, how far they went. We give you a fire growth report now, too, that gives you the acreage and the ignition acres and the growth by time step within the simulation by burn period. So you can see the hourly acres and the total cumulative acres of growth. Another thing that people want to talk about is Google Earth. You can take all your you can output any of your runs and generate a KMZ file as long as you have projection information with that. And that isn't the fire we just ran, but here's an example of what it looks like in Google Earth with a KMZ file, showing the arrival time in minutes, the fire progression, polygons, and the spot fires associated with it. And you can turn on or off any of the landscape themes that you want to have, like fuel model. You can do everything you want to do in Google Earth with that. Here's if I want to look at Farsight, the Wind Ninja wind vectors associated with that run through each perimeter, you can see them there. So I think I'm gone a little bit over time on that. And if we just did this one and I wanted to import a new run from a WFDS run, I can come up here and I can do this and I can change it to a WFDS input run. I do that and everything gets populated. The fuel moisture file that was used, the weather stream that was used, the burn period time, all the model settings that were used, including foliar moisture content, spotting, all that, the burn periods. All I have to do is add the ignition file and the landscape file to do this, and that quick guide will go over that Wesley's going to send out to everyone. So with that, that's what I have time for today, and that link to the Northern Rockies Fire Exchange is a full hour-and-a-half webinar that goes into a lot of this in more detail.